Sciatic pain can be just completely overwhelming, right? It literally stops you in your tracks, and it can feel almost impossible to sit, stand, or even just rest comfortably. For a lot of people, it feels like a life sentence. So today, let's dig into what sciatica really is and how the very surfaces you use every day could be a hidden part of the problem, or maybe, just maybe, part of the solution.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start by understanding the pain itself, then we'll look at why sitting is so often the enemy. After that, we'll explore a totally different approach to support, see how it actually works, and figure out where it fits into your daily life.
All right, first up, before we even touch on solutions, let's get a really clear picture of what sciatic pain is all about.
And let's kick things off with this really powerful idea. While this pain can feel like it's taking over everything, it absolutely does not have to control your life. The key is finding the right ways to manage it and take back that control.
Okay, so first things first, and this is a big one. Sciatica isn't actually a disease. Think of it more like an alarm bell going off in your body. It's a symptom, and it's telling you that something is pinching, compressing, or just really irritating the sciatic nerve, which, by the way, is the longest nerve in your entire body. And hey, if this is something you're going through, you are so far from alone. I mean, check this out. Up to 40% of people will deal with it at some point. That is a ton of people. And look, we're not talking about your average muscle ache here, because this is nerve pain. The words people use to describe it are intense. We're talking burning, shooting, stabbing, or even these electric jolts. It's so severe because that one nerve travels all the way from your lower spine down each leg.
Which leads us to something we all do every single day, usually without a second thought: sitting. But for anyone with sciatica, this simple act can be a huge trigger for pain.
Now, if you've been down this road, I'm willing to bet you've tried a cushion or two, or maybe a whole pile of them, right? So what's the deal? Why do so many of them just fail to help?
Well, here's the fundamental problem. Most of those cushions, the ones made of soft foam or gel, they just collapse the second you sit on them. And when they collapse, they create these pressure points that push right on that already sensitive sciatic nerve. It's the exact opposite of what you need. A good support surface should be doing all the things on the right.
Okay, so this means we need to think about this a little differently. It's not just about adding more squishy padding, it's about thinking like a structural engineer. The actual design of the surface becomes absolutely critical.
See, the real goal isn't just to absorb your weight, which, let's be honest, is just a fancy way of saying letting you sink in. It's about actively redirecting that weight, moving that pressure away from the spots that are screaming at you.
So how do you do that? Well, one way is with technology that's basically a structural grid. Instead of a pillow, think more like a high-tech web. It's designed so when you sit, the pressure spreads out across the whole surface, instead of just pushing straight down on that one painful spot. Big difference. All right, that sounds cool in theory, right? But how does a dynamic surface like this actually work with your body? Let's break down the mechanics.
It all comes down to a principle called progressive resistance. It's pretty smart, actually. It's all about being adaptive. So when you just sit down lightly, only the very tips of the structure are engaged. But as you put more weight down, more of the wider, stronger parts of the structure kick in to help out. Basically, the support automatically ramps up to match exactly what you need, right when you need it.
And there's another really cool thing that happens with a dynamic surface like this, something called neurofidgets. Just think about it for a second. Even when you feel like you're sitting perfectly still, you're not. You're always making these tiny micro movements. A normal cushion just kind of smothers those movements, but a dynamic surface moves with you. And all those little shifts help keep your circulation going and fight off that stiffness and numbness.
Okay, so that brings us to the big picture. Where does a tool like this fit into a real day-to-day pain management plan?
And this part is absolutely crucial to understand. Cushions like this are support tools. They are not a medical treatment, and they're not a cure. Their job is to help you manage the day-to-day discomfort and aggravation between your other therapies, like physical therapy.
But that kind of daily support, it can make a world of difference in your quality of life. When you reduce that constant nagging aggravation, you can start getting back to the things you need to do. Driving, working at a desk, or just making it through the day with a little more ease.
So really, when you boil it all down, it comes to this: support matters a lot. Simply changing how your body is supported day in and day out can be a huge step in breaking that awful cycle of pain and irritation.
And I think that's the most important thing to remember here.
You are not powerless against this pain. So it just leaves you with a question to mull over. How could changing your support change your day?